All right. You ready? You remember how to do this?
I think so.
All right. So this is, you remember what episode this is?
6?
Yeah. Episode 6 coming down in 3,
2.
1. Hello and welcome to episode number 6 of Conversations with Myself.
A journey of self-discovery.
I'm the dad. I'm Brent. And this is the slimmer version of what I looked like at age 12.
I'm Xavier. Mr. Xavier to you, though.
I had a little bit of a weight problem when I was a 12-year-old. We've had a little bit of a break over the past, what has it been, a month?
I think it's been a month.
I think our last one that we taped was on Labor Day. And what is today? Today's the 7th of October?
Yes.
So a little over a month. We've been busy, though. We've had a lot of stuff going on. Is there anything like particular that you've been doing?
Playing games and going to school.
You did? What'd you do Thursday night?
I forgot.
You with the band?
Oh, yeah. On Thursday, my middle school band, we went to the football game and we played some songs.
What do you play?
I play the tuba.
You're being very vague in your answer. We went to a place and we played some stuff. No, the Union City Middle School football game was Thursday night, and then the middle school band played. And you guys came out on the field. You didn't march, but you guys kind of came out and were stationary. And
yeah.
What songs did you do?
We did Rocky Top. And the UC fight song, which my dad has told me sounds like the Michigan fight song. Yeah,
it actually is, if I'm not mistaken, it's Hail to the Victor. So I was sitting there, I was like, hey, wait a minute, that's the Michigan theme song. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of worked out that way.
Yeah.
September was crazy busy for me. We had Corn Fest, which popped up. There was Labor Day, and then Corn Fest was after that. We did the Corn Fest fashion show. Matt Crossan and I played at Discovery Park for Music on the Rails. We did Family Day in the park at Kiwanis Park, and then I got a stomach bug and I was sick, and then I was just been sick and tired the past couple days. So it's we just haven't had a chance to sit down and do an episode. But we're back, and if you guys remember on episode 5 at the tail end, you said that you wanted to do an episode about what?
About acting.
About acting. So yeah, we'll do
theater
and acting and theater and all that kind of stuff. So we'll do today's episode. The topic is going to be about acting and stage work and being in the theater. Oh, one more thing that I forgot that we did last weekend, showing how we're busy. Your mom and I went with some friends of ours, Katie and Chris. We went to downtown Jonesboro, which is like 2 hours away, and we saw a Blind Melon concert. Remember we were talking about Blind Melon in our last episode? So we got to see Blind Melon perform for free in downtown Jonesboro.
Nice.
And we got a set list, which if you're watching on YouTube, that's back down over there.
Can I see it?
No, you're actually getting more in the way. Anywho, I do want to mention that we got to see Blind Melon. So we'll get to our topic at hand this week, which is about acting and theater. And you mentioned that you wanted to go first.
It'd be my pleasure.
And remember to talk freely into the microphone.
Like that.
See, now you're pegging the level. This episode brought to you by Cool Refreshing Mountain Dew. It's green and it's not good for you.
Okay, so my first question is, do you have many experiences with acting?
No, not really. I think when I was in elementary school, I liked to, cut up and have fun in front of my friends. And it wasn't until, I think we mentioned this on an episode, our first episode, when we were talking about 7th grade. It wasn't until I got to middle school that my counselor told me, hey, you've got to take an elective and we're going to put you in a theater class. And it was just like a theater of appreciation. You go in to learn about Shakespeare and, Greek theater and things like that. And then we had auditions for a play, and I ended up getting one of the leads. And I was like, hey, I like this acting stuff. And then a friend of mine, Lucas Ford, who went on to become a professional actor, he was in that class, and I learned a lot from him, and I just had a lot of fun with it. And then when I got to high school, we had, because our high school's closed, but we had a very, very good acting program at our high school. As a matter of fact, some of the alumni from Flint Central High School got back together and they staged a performance of Sound of Music for Disney Plus, and it's going to air on Disney Plus in November.
Oh, really?
That's how good our acting program was at our high
Wow.
school. So I was a little intimidated by that, and Mr. Jennings was the acting teacher, and he's a super nice guy. But when I was a freshman, I was really quiet and reserved, and he really kind of scared me because he was, very demanding, and you kind of have to be to have a good theater program like that. So I kind of bowed out and didn't do as much acting.
Okay, well, I think you already said this, but did you have fun with all those acting experiences?
Yeah, I think you get to play a different person than who you are, and you get to kind of, take on a character and just kind of play around and have fun with it and be someone other than who you are. So if I'm reserved and I don't really say a whole lot, then I have an excuse to be a little more outgoing because I'm a different person, and that's how that person would act. So it was like it kind of challenged me to break out of my little reserved, introverted slot.
Okay. Do you remember? Do you remember anything? Any other specific thing that happened there? In there, anything that's out of the ordinary that was there?
In high school.
Yeah, in the.
So like I said, in middle school, I did some acting in my theater class. And then when I got to high school, I didn't do as much, but I still kind of cut up and, did acting type stuff. I mean, I'm kind of a ham and I go over the top on things. And then when I got to college, a good friend of mine, Dean Milligan, he was a theater minor, and he asked me to be in, he had to direct a one-act play for his final. And he asked me to be in this one-act play, and I accepted, and we practiced for a while and rehearsed. And I'm 2 days before we had to stage this one-act play, I cut my finger in a bone saw at work, and so I ended up acting in his one-act finale at UTM with my finger bandaged up. And it didn't mess up the play, but it's kind of weird to have finger all bandaged up. Okay. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay, so what's your favorite play, not just from what you've done, but just in general?
Stage plays. There's a lot of...
Including musicals.
This is not my strong point. If you'd ask me a movie or ask me your music or TV show, that's what I'm good at. But, stage play, I've seen a lot, and I've been to quite a few, but I don't know that there's one that really stands out. We got to see, when I was a senior in high school, my mom and dad got me tickets for Christmas to see Les Mis in Detroit at the Fox Theater. And it had a rotating stage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was kind of cool. So that was really neat. I could see that. And then there's another one that's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of what it's called, but it's been done over and over and over again. And I got to see a live action version of that. So there are quite a few that I've seen, but I'm a lot of your stuff stands out too. I like seeing you act in Masquerade Theater. So
okay, so do you have any? So my last question is: do you have any any other entertaining stories about acting, or something related to acting?
No, I think the coolest part is when I was in middle school and in high school, I really got the acting bug, and it was a lot of fun, and I enjoy it. And the cool part is seeing you take on that love of acting, and you have gone to places, and I said this before in another episode, you are much more confident on stage, and the things that you bring to your character, your memorization, I'm in awe when I watch you on stage, because it's almost like that's your second home. And so that's kind of cool for me, is to see something that I loved doing as a kid and seeing you kind of where I stop, you start, and you kind of take over. So it's kind of neat. And then we actually got to, all three of us, your mom and me and you, we got to act in the same play together, about 4 or 5 years ago?
I think so.
Was it Miracle on 34th Street?
Yeah, and my mom got the lead role.
Yeah, so Mandy got the lead. And what did you play? You just were you a kid at the...
Yeah, I was a kid that sat on Santa's lap.
And I was your dad in that scene, but I was also a TV reporter. I was typecast.
That's right. Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, at first they said, well, you can read the lines backstage just into a microphone, and I was like, okay. And then it turned into, well, you can come out on stage and memorize the lines, and I cannot memorize things for anything. So luckily I got through that. But your mom did awesome, you did awesome, and it was kind of neat that all three of us got to be in a Masquerade Theater production all together.
Yeah.
Is that all you got for me?
That's all I got.
All right. Here are all my questions. I had to get my laptop out, so bear with me for a second. Was acting and being in theater something you wanted to do when you're a little kid, or did you try it and do it because your mom and I kind of steered you in that direction? Like I think you did like storybook summer at the library with Miss Jenny first. Did you just do that because we kind of said, hey, why don't you go try this? Or did you really want to do acting?
I can't really remember that much, but I want to say like I remember, wasn't the first storybook summer like Jack and the Beanstalk or something?
It was, yeah.
I think that like you guys were like, hey, why don't you do this? And I was like, got nothing better to do, so.
You have no plans at the moment.
Back in kindergarten, I didn't have that many plans, so.
Plus, we wanted you to do something other than just sit around the house. And to be honest, you get it honestly from us. You weren't the strongest t-ball player. We'll just say that. So I don't want to throw you under the bus, but
it's true. I didn't really like
your acting skills a whole lot better than your t-ball skills.
Yeah.
So
don't even get me started on baseball.
Yeah. So when you actually did it, did you enjoy it once you started getting into it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it once I started to get into it.
Your mom has a picture of you as Jack and Jack and the Beanstalk that she had on Facebook at one point, and it was just you with your hands in the air singing. And it's like pure joy. You look like you were having such a good time. So I think that was, we got a lot of fun. Just had a lot of fun just sitting there watching you perform. Yeah. It came up in my Facebook memories today that you actually auditioned for your very first Masquerade Theater role 6 years ago today. It was, what was the role?
Tiny Tim.
And I remember when you got up on stage, you had to deliver the line. What you remember your famous line? It's like the biggest line. Drawing a blank.
Yeah, drawing a blank. It was a few years ago, if you can't tell.
Remember? You said it in your British accent.
I remember what it was, but I don't remember what it was.
God blesses everyone.
There it is.
So there's a whole bunch of kids that got up and auditioned for the role, and Xavier got up, and at the time you were what, 5?
5, I think.
Yeah. So you got up and you said, God blesses everyone. And like everybody in the audience that was auditioning, they just collectively, just out of their own volition said, oh. I mean, at that point we were like, pretty sure Xavier has the part. So you were like 5 or 6 when you got, this is 2013.
By the way, didn't we meet some of our greatest friends when doing that?
When we got starting in Masquerade Theater, we got to meet a lot of people, and we got to perform with a lot of people. So it's been a really great thing for the community that we've gotten involved with Masquerade Theater.
Yeah.
So you were, like I said, you were like 5 or 6 when you auditioned. Do you remember anything about it at all?
I'll be honest, no. I can somewhat remember. I can somewhat remember being on that set, but other than that, like, no.
So you don't remember if you were like nervous or intimidated by all the people sitting and watching you? Or?
I don't think I was that nervous, but like, I don't think I was like, I don't know if I was like as enthusiastic as I am now. You know what I mean? Like, I was still enthusiastic about it, but
you just basically got up there and did it, and because you weren't worrying about it, maybe you did so well.
Yeah.
That's something good for the future. Just get up there and do it and don't be worried about it.
Yeah.
So, like, drawing off that and subsequent roles that you've auditioned for, because I'm sitting in the audience watching you audition, and it doesn't seem like you're nervous. Even when you perform, it doesn't seem like you're nervous. Are you nervous, or do you get little jitters, or what?
Sometimes I do get kind of nervous.
Because, like I said before, it's like your second home. It's like you get up there and you just become the character and you just have fun. And it looks like you're just...
Yeah.
Not really worried about anything.
It's honestly it's honestly not that, it doesn't make me that nervous whenever I get up on stage.
And I guess if it's something that you love doing, it doesn't, make you too nervous. Yeah. So talk about some of the plays and musicals that you've been in over the years. Can you name some of them? Do you remember them?
Let's see. So my most recent one is Aladdin.
What'd you play in Aladdin?
The Sultan. Do you remember the best Christmas pageant ever?
Yeah,
I was in that. Don't remember which role I played, but How to Eat Like a Child.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, fun fact, fun story. I was actually like a news reporter, and basically, I think it was Addison. And it was showing us how to eat a cupcake, and she would and she had a cupcake, and she would smear the frosting all over her face.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it during rehearsal, or did she do it in rehearsal? Or
No,
in the
I think that she did it a few times in rehearsal, and and it was just really funny.
And we talked about earlier, you were in Miracle on 34th Street, and then A Christmas Carol was your first one.
Yeah.
And then you did a lot of storybook summer stuff too.
Yeah,
right?
I remember one was like, you remember that old story that was like the hen baking the bread, like, and I don't remember either.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I remember it was like a superhero themed or something, and I was Spider-Man or something.
That might have been a storybook summer thing with Miss Jenny, probably.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was a storybook summer.
One of the ones that I remember was just last fall. You were in Charlotte's Web, and you played like an announcer, right?
Yeah.
And the cool thing about this role for you is that it wasn't a big role. You didn't have a whole bunch of lines, and you actually didn't come out on stage until the second act. But the thing that I love that you did in that role...
And I wasn't even in any of the songs.
Right. And, I mean, it wasn't a huge part, but it's a perfect example for you is that you took that role and you made it completely yours, because when you came out, I mean, everyone was laughing at the right times when you're doing the lines, and you took that, it didn't matter what size of the role, you just owned it, and you became that person, and you just really lived up to it. And I think that's really cool how you can do that. Like, the Sultan was a pretty big role, and you did great in that. And then...
Yes, I did.
That's my boy. But then as the announcer, it wasn't a huge role, but you came out and you just put your all into it. And I think that's really cool that you can have that balance. You don't always have to have the main role or the biggest part. It's just what you do with the part that you have.
Yeah. And I think that one reason that I was so good at the announcer was because I have a role model for that.
Yeah, you did some character studies. And you've been watching me at the radio station all these years. So you kind of had an idea. I have a picture of you. I think I put it on Instagram at one point, where you're just up there and like everyone's looking at you, and you're standing on like a box or something like that.
Yeah.
And everyone's just kind of, and you've got the biggest smile on your face. The biggest smiles that I've seen in the pictures from you are when you're acting on stage. I don't know if that's just coincidence or by design, but it's really cool to look back some of the pictures that we have and how just beaming with joy that you are. Are there any of the favorites, the roles that you've had over the years?
I don't know. Like, I think that one of my favorites probably would be Tiny Tim, because like, sure, like Jack and the Beanstalk, that was my first real one. But if you ask me, Tiny Tim one, that was the one that took the snowball and rolled it down the mountain.
So it kind of like created a spark that you're like, oh, I like this. I want to try this some more.
Yeah.
And you really did a good job in that role. And the kind of the sad thing for us is that it was supposed to run 2 straight weekends. And the first weekend it snowed really bad, and we didn't get to do any performances that weekend. So we only got to do it 3 times after practicing that whole time. But you did a really good job. And didn't you get interviewed by a newspaper? You remember that? We got a picture of that. I think it was from the UTM paper.
I think so.
Yeah, they came over. So you were a star at the age of 6.
Dad, give me some credit. I was a star at age 1.
You were a star as soon as you were born. I have one more question here, and we can kind of get in depth and maybe go off the beaten path a little bit. You've been acting for quite a few years. You've had a lot of folks that you've worked with. Are there any people who have helped you along the way, or are there specific people that you've seen acting or directing or what have you, and you've said, hey, I want to be more like that person? Are there anybody like that? Has anybody specifically like really helped you or worked with you?
Honestly, it's really just all the people I act with and direct, whether it's the acting portion, the song or dance. Literally everyone is so helpful, even the people that I act with. And honestly, I was saying that that it can be pretty hard to even just get in a play. Like,
just the audition process alone, yeah.
Yeah, like that takes a lot of bravery. And don't even get me started on actually getting the part and playing it. Like, that takes a lot of bravery.
It's one thing to get up there and then you don't really know what role you're auditioning for. You could get a role that has, 90 pages of dialogue you got to memorize. But you've been always really good at memorizing your lines. Is it just come natural to you, or?
Yeah, kind of.
Or is it the repetition thing?
What's repetition mean?
Where you just keep doing it over and over and over again at rehearsal?
I think that it comes naturally to me because, like, I don't even have to look over my lines that many times before I'm like, okay, I got this.
See, that not everybody's like that. So that's one of a sign that's something you're kind of born to do, because something that comes easy to you and it's hard to other people. So that's a good sign. I was thinking of people like Miss Jenny really helped you early with Storybook Summer, and then the classes that you took with Miss Jenny, and then Mr. Brian when he was in Christmas Carol with you, he really kind of took a liking to you because he was Scrooge and you were Tiny Tim, and he really kind of worked with you. So you had some really good influencers over the year.
Yeah.
You're a lot like me in that you watch TV and movies the same thing over and over and over again. Has that helped in any way when you watch your shows or the movies? Do you watch those actors and you try to emulate them a little bit? Because I know that's what I did when I was a kid. I'd watch these movies and TV shows, and I'd kind of learn by watching them.
Definitely. You want to know some reason why?
Yeah.
I think that the main reason is like, with that I could like, whenever I can see the punchline in like a joke, I'd be like, oh, so that's how what people find funny. 'Cause like, even, or not necessarily just like the line itself, but how it was said. Like if it's said in a serious attitude, even though it's super hilarious, that's most of the time somebody would say that's funny.
So yeah, so you're watching them and you see how they deliver it, and you're like, oh, that's how you get the laugh, or that's how you get that you evoke that emotion out of the people watching, is you kind of emulate the actors. Do you have any? I know we talked about local people. Do you have anybody specifically like big time actors that you watch on TV shows or movies that you really like, that you try to emulate, or that you look up to?
Not really any big time actors that I look up to, but just like all the people that I really like people who I really like in shows. They're pretty good too. Because
you watch a lot of the same shows over and over and over again. Because I'm in the same room and watch. What's that? A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yeah.
You watch that over and over and over again. I used to do that too. I used to watch the same movies just ad nauseum. So I understand. That kind of makes sense. I had another really good question on the top of my head. Oh, I know what it was. You can see if you watch our YouTube video how much you enjoy acting, because you're a total ham in front of the camera here. Whenever we come on, you're always doing something. I'm trying to be serious and getting our podcast, and you're, making faces, and it's exactly. So this is kind of this is your thing. You like. I know when I said, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast?" You were on board because it gave you a chance to what?
To talk and show who I am. Perform,
yeah. That's just kind of your thing. And I say your mom and I are always on board of nurturing that, and we try to, get you to do as many plays as you can. I know you weren't old enough to be in the one that's coming up soon, the Addams Family musical. That would have been a lot of fun. But there's another one coming up soon. You said you wanted to be a part of that. So
if I made my voice a little higher, maybe I could have been Pugsley. Whatever his name was.
I don't think that would have worked. So it's really interesting to see you grow in being an actor. So I think that's one of the coolest things for me as a dad, is to see you take something that I like doing and now you really love doing. It's akin to as if you started to like Pearl Jam. Is that a thing yet?
No,
didn't think
definitely
so.
not.
I'm going to try one of these days. So that's our episode on acting and theater. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, not really. Oh, well, like if there's a play that comes out and they need adult people characters, would you sign up?
Not actively. I wasn't planning on doing the one that I was in a couple of years ago. They said, here's a role for an announcer. And literally everyone turned and looked at me because I was a DJ at the time. And I was like, I'm being typecast. So I'm just being on stage. I asked you about being nervous and intimidated. That is really, I can sit behind a microphone all day or get up in front of people at Cornfest and announce or at a fashion show. But being on stage like that is really kind of intimidating because I have to remember lines, and my memorization's terrible. So, like I said, that's my shortcoming, and that's easy for you.
Yeah.
So,
can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
Did being in theater help you become a DJ?
I think a little bit, yeah. I think you try to develop a personality, and but even then it took years of practice and practice and practice.
Yeah, because I would think so. Because like what I said, wouldn't that kind of let you like learn how to make people laugh?
Yeah, and the cool thing about that is that as a DJ, I would sit in a room by myself, and there wasn't the pressure of people looking at me. Now, there were thousands of people listening to me, so if I screwed up, but I didn't have to see their faces, so I could screw up and I was none the wiser.
Yeah, for all, you might as well just play a bunch of fart sounds and then no one would be none the wiser. That was you.
I don't know how that really made it into the conversation.
I don't either, Dad.
We'll end on that note. That's our episode on theater and acting. Thank you for that, son.
You're welcome, Dad.
Are there any topics that you're looking forward to for episode 7?
I'd probably have to think about it.
Yeah, we'll think about it. And we apologize again for these episodes. We took a long break. We didn't mean to. It just when fall gets going and school gets back in, things kind of start going crazy. So hopefully we'll do another episode soon. Just keep following us on iTunes and Spotify and the Google Play Store, and check us out on YouTube. Xavier has his own channel, which at the time we thought it was kind of cool to call it the X-Men, but then we realized, hey, there's a whole series from Marvel called the X-Men, so it's kind of hard to find. So we always put up the link to his YouTube channel at the very front end of this video in case people want to find it, and we try to put it up on the iTunes page too. So yeah. Very interesting topic today. Thanks for taking some time out of your Sunday of watching TV, your Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever you watch in there.
You got it, Dad.
So thank you guys for tuning in. This was episode 6 of Conversations with Myself.
A journey of self-discovery.
You really got to say that louder.
A journey of self-discovery. Yeah!
He takes everything so literal.
Yes, I do.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you back on episode 7. Bye.